Yes, sir. It's the NBA Hardwood Show. Best time of the year. It is NFL, NBA. Baby, we got both of them here. This is the best sports time. I don't care what anyone says, Tony. Give me basketball. Give me football all together. And then you got the college mix in there too. Just the best time. Monday through Sunday, I get sports that I'm into all day, every day. It's what I love here, people. So we're going to be breaking down a little 2-game action. We're going to talk some betting, a little division action. We'll go through the sports books and give some of our favorite looks at some regular season, who we got winning the division, who we got going all the way. And I got the man, Big T, ready to talk some hoops. Big T, I know you love some October hoops.
God, and the disdain in your voice for college football and everything besides Pacers versus Grizzlies on a Thursday night just makes me warm inside, because I'll never forget you guys just jerking off to that game in that casino. Oh, I'm still disgusted by you and Mangone sitting in those chairs rooting on Jarris Walker versus whoever the hell he was playing.
What do you expect, though? I don't know what you expect. I
expect you to roll dice like a man and make me money.
I rolled dice like a man after that, okay? We watched the winners, and then we rolled dice after that. I don't know what you want. Like, it was just, the hoops came first, dice came second. It's not like the dice didn't happen.
It did, but it might have inspired you. Watching Jarris Walker might have inspired you.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like the Wizards, Pacers, that would inspire some people. I think so. I don't know. What do you want? Hit the like button on the video. Okay. Hit the like button here. Big T, before we get into, the bets and we'll break down each division and stuff like that. We got a new sheet that you specifically have been working on for the last probably like 24 hours. I don't think you slept. And if you did, it was like 2 hours, because you texted me at like 6:50 saying, I'm going back to bed for a couple hours, then we'll do the show. So I assume you were up doing the sheet all night, because one thing about Big T, he gets shit done, but he will wait. He's one of those people, he will wait until like the last minute, the last day to get this shit up. But he will get it done. Exactly. He will get it done.
Did that my whole life, all through college. You always got to.
Oh, I see it. I can tell.
I can't do it early. There's no. What am I gonna? If I get it up, or I still got to do it. That's how I look at it. If I got to do it, no matter what, why do I need to get it up early just to look at it when I can just get it up later and wait for it? I don't understand.
No, I mean, I'm just saying.
Some people are planners. Some people are like procrastinators. I'm definitely on the procrastinator side.
No, you're definitely the one who like. You always got your shit in at the last minute, but it was there. But it was the last minute, to get it done.
It was the worst with like big papers and stuff at school, because I would just always wait till the last second and then just grind through it in a hurry. I think I like the pressure of it. I've always been better like when I'm up against it too. Like if I'm on a little slump, I need to focus more. I'm a better pressure player. I'm not a front runner. Like some people are front runners. I'm more of a come from the back type.
Come from behind. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah, come from behind.
I was gonna say you were definitely that like young kid who is driving to school and he's doing his homework on the bus, or like his parents driving to school and you're
close
doing
enough. It wasn't quite that bad, but close enough. Like doing it at my house before. Close enough. I was too old. That was before computers. That's how old I am. I had to get things up a little earlier than that.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to the hoops talk here. Like I said, only 2-game slate, and there's really not much news on this 2-game slate. So we'll get to the 2-game slate, but first we want to talk a little bit just about the betting side and trying to pick some winners for you guys. Big T, what are you laughing at in the chat? Who's making you laugh right now?
Blitzology's making fun of 725 builds after a gummy. It's also partly true.
That is definitely true for Big T. 100%. 100% facts. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's get into this division here, because I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch, Big T. And obviously, we'll start at the East. I did this kind of just looking at the East before I think it was yesterday. And I'm looking at the East, Tony, and I'm like, man, the Eastern Conference, like, there's like legitimately 7 or 8 teams that are dead before the season even starts. Like they're just dead. And by dead, I mean like they're going to be trying to tank. It's a horrible Eastern Conference. The West is loaded. The East is the complete opposite. It's honestly, it kind of feels like the NFC, AFC in football. I feel like the AFC is like, there's like 3 teams that are like legit teams, and maybe 4, and then the rest just sucks. And the NFC is like the opposite. I think there's more teams in the NFC. I feel like hoops is kind of similar with the Western and Eastern Conference, where you got the West is loaded and the East is just, there's legitimately like 3 teams.
Oh, I mean, not even 3 really.
Maybe 2 that are like legitimate contenders for the title.
If even 2, like it's embarrassing. It was bad when LeBron was running off all those finals, but it was better than it is now. I mean, it's just there's nothing.
All right, well, let's start in the Atlantic Division, which is kind of funny because you got Boston, they're minus 180 to win the division. You got the Knicks, who are plus 250, Sixers, who are plus 600, and they're going to be like, Joel Embiid talked about like not playing back-to-backs. Like, I legitimately think Joel Embiid is going to struggle to play like half the season, Tony, without like injuries and stuff like that. Like, I think he's going to struggle big time. Paul George already got hurt in the preseason. Hopefully it's not too bad. And then you got the Raptors, who are like plus 50,000. The Nets these teams are just dead. Like, you can't plus 60,000. Like, you're not betting on these teams, obviously, because they're just going to try and tank most likely the season. But the top 3 teams, Tony, people always like the Sixers. We don't like the Sixers. We've never liked the Sixers, but people will always like the Sixers. The Knicks, I think the Knicks and Celtics are the 1 and 2 in the East. I don't know if you disagree with that, but I think they're the clear, for me, 1 and 2 in the East. So who are you going with? Division winner, Celtics or Knicks?
I mean, I think you can take a chance on the Celtics are more playoffs for me. Just I could see them coasting big time now that they got over the hump. I could see them dropping a lot of games that they did. Not a lot. I mean, by a lot of games, I don't mean they're going to like go 500 or something, but I could see them taking a lot of nights, Friday nights off in Memphis. They're going to take some of those games off this year. So I can see the Knicks actually being a try-hard team and actually like getting the 1 seed or something. So I don't mind the price on the Knicks. I mean, obviously for the playoffs, it's got to be Boston still, obviously.
It's a different story.
Yeah.
Regular season and playoffs.
They literally don't care about the seeding. So
I think the Knicks are the bet, actually. Plus 250. I don't know if you saw the thing with Jaylen Brown. He kind of like let it slip. Like, when we go to Detroit, like, we're going to let Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser kind of, jack up 8 threes and be the main guy. I don't know if you saw that like quote from him, but it was kind of funny. He preluded to like, when we go to those things, like when we go to places like that, we're going to let these other guys be like the main guys, which is kind of like saying we're probably going to sit a couple of our vets. We're not going to have our full team, against those teams. And we're going to let guys like Peyton Pritchard be more of the guy. And when they play the Knicks and the Bucks and the teams that are a little higher up the list, they're going to play everybody. You know what I mean? So they kind of talked about that already. And the Knicks are the team because we know that Tibbs is going to try in the regular season. Like, he's going to play his starters 40 minutes. And I think they're the bet, plus 250 to win the division. I'm going to take a shot on the Knicks. Let's go to the Central Division. Bucks plus 110. Cavaliers
talking about the freaking divisions, because you asked me this before the show, and like you made fun of me before. I wasn't prepared, and you made fun of me. But the much better category on DraftKings, because the divisions don't really matter. Like, so there's this one on here that says wins playoffs to win X games. These are the bets I love because it says to win 60 regular season games. So it kind of lets us evaluate the regular season in a way while getting good odds. Like, it basically breaks it. Like the Knicks plus 360, what we were just talking about, to win 60 games. I think it's like a great bet. Like, they're going to try so hard all regular season. So what? That's 60 and 22, right? It's always 82 games. 60 and 22.
Yeah.
I could easily see the Knicks doing that. But it goes all the way down on this category, is why I said it's a good category.
They actually gave a boost, Tony. I don't think the boost is live anymore, but DraftKings had a boost for that exact
For the
column.
60 plus?
No, for that column, the wins
Oh.
plus you build the parlay boost, and they gave you like a 50%
Yeah.
boost or something.
I would have
They
done
had
I
it.
like these bets because it goes all the way down too to much lower.
So I think I bet the Knicks at -110 for 55 games in that boost. I can't remember
You're always the one that goes to the top of the ladder.
no, but you build the parlay, bro. So there's like 4 different teams that I bet in this thing. It's not one
You should have
team.
put the Knicks at 60 though. You should have
They're
pulled
not
them
going to
out.
win 60. They're not
You
going to
should
win
have strapped
60
them on the
games.
table and got the job done. You're the one that's always third round submission in MMA and stuff. I mean, and you're scared of 60 wins for a dude that's
I'm
going
not
to play
scared
these
of it.
guys
I was just
40
building
minutes
a
a night.
parlay. So that's though it's not building a parlay. There's like one thing, third round submission. Like
Still,
you just
it's still the same thing though. You're still putting, whether you bet the Knicks at 55 or 60, you're still picking 3 more games. That's what I'm putting it in my
3 more
parlay right
teams.
now. I'm doing a 4-teamer to beat your 4-teamer. I'm
You
putting
ain't
the
beating
Knicks
my
plus
4-teamer.
360.
You ain't beating my 4-teamer, even with the Knicks at plus
I'm going to
360.
add 5 wins to each of yours just to get better odds.
You son of a bitch. All right. The other team that I liked in this column, since you want to just change it up on me, even though I asked you before the show what you wanted to do, and you're like, whatever you want, I don't care.
I thought the division was
that's
good
fine.
until you actually started talking about it.
That's fine. We'll do this because I like it. The other team that I like, Tony, from a wins perspective, well, 2 teams. The Orlando Magic, because they're a team that's going to try hard in the regular season. They're a young team, and like we talked about, the Eastern Conference is not that great. And then the other team was the Houston Rockets, which is kind of my sleeper team that I think I think they're just a super deep team, like really, really deep. And you can get, where are they right now? So the Houston Rockets, 50 games is plus 400. If you want to go there, I don't hate that. I think they're one of those teams it's very young, that has a lot of depth and a lot of guys that are just
vets too. Like they got some vets that can help the young guys along too.
Dude, Cam Whitmore, the more I watch that dude play, the more I'm like, how did so many teams pass on this kid? He's so fucking good. And he's like the 7th or 8th guy on that team. Like
David in the chat though brings up the tough point though is the West, man. These West teams to win 50 or it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But again, though,
gems in the East. That's why I like the Knicks. We need some gems out East.
Well, that's the thing. Like, more of your bets should be on the East side. That's why I like the Magic to win 50. The more of your bets should be on the East, because like Tony said, you're not taking unders in these things, right, Tony? I can't bet unders in like the West teams. So it's only like 50 plus, 45, 40, 35, obviously up to 60. So who's like a team in the East that you think is someone that's underrated outside of the top couple teams? Like, I think the Magic, but their odds are still not the best, even for 50.
Looking in the 50, I think the 50 win column is the best. Like, just because I mean, if you go 50 and 32, I mean that's just a standard, like, pretty good team. I don't like the Bucks.
The Heat don't try in the regular season.
Yeah. Don't like them. I do kind of. I mean, why are the Pacers plus 175 to win 50? I kind of like that. I mean, they're the way they play, and they play deep. They're kind of built for the regular season. I like them plus 175. Yeah, I hate the Heat in that bet. The East is so bad. When I start going down the list, it is tough.
I'll give you, okay, I think this team is bad, Tony, but the Atlanta Hawks are a team that should tank, but they can't. You want to know why?
Yeah.
They don't have their draft pick. They literally don't have their first round draft pick. So they're going to have to actually not tank. So maybe hoping they win like 40 games or 45 games in a shitty East. What are they right now? Plus 190 to win 40 games. Like, I don't like this team, but at the same time, they're not going to take, because they don't have their first round pick. It's even unprotected too. So they literally, like, no matter how bad, they literally don't have
Who
their
gets
pick.
it?
Like,
Who'd they give it to?
the Spurs, I think, have it.
God, the Spurs got that too.
Dude, the Spurs could end up with Cooper Flag. The Spurs in OKC could honestly, one of those teams could end up with fucking
One of
Cooper
my big
Flag.
worries, and I always worry about this with Pop, is, and I did a draft last night, one of the high stakes, like season long drafts, and I got Wemby. But one of my big worries is they shut him down and try to do stuff like just totally load up. Now that I know they got that pick too, I mean, man, I worry about them just giving Wemby like a year to get stronger and just rest.
The good thing about having that pick is you can just root on Atlanta. Like, who knows what happens with Atlanta? I mean, Atlanta's not a good team. They lose DeJounte Murray. They draft that really young kid who's raw, that Ricochet, who he's probably going to need a few years to be like, he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be really good, like right off the bat. And then they gave Jalen Johnson. I don't know if you saw that. They gave him that massive contract yesterday. He's good. I just don't know how good the team like actually is though. Like they're probably going to turn the ball over a ton. They're probably not going to be that great on D. I know they're not going to try and lose though. Like I know the Nets are probably going to start selling off assets. Maybe Charlotte tries to win because they're just dumb. Chicago should just sell their whole team. But you never know. Chicago's
got to be one of the dumbest teams of all, because they just stay pat and they're just happy to just be like a 6 seed or 7 seed.
They're plus 125 to win 30 games.
Chicago's plus 125 to win how many? 30?
30 games, yeah.
They're that bad? Did they lose some more guys or something?
Well, DeMar DeRozan's gone. He went to Sacramento.
Well, besides him, how many games did they win last year?
Lonzo Ball should be back for the team.
Which
they won more
should
than
help. I mean, he looked like somewhat decent for a guy that was never going to play again.
What did they win? They definitely won more than that, obviously, last year. They were in like the play-in, I think, right?
So they won last year. Granted, it wasn't the 39 last year. Like, I don't think they'll be that much worse than last year. I know their roster's a little different. I actually like that bet. 30 wins? What'd you say it was?
Plus 125 on DraftKings.
The problem with all these bets, I like talking about them more than actually bet. Like, who's gonna actually bet that, or your money has to sit there for that long?
How is Toronto minus 120 to win 30 games? Like, how are the Bulls in Toronto?
Who actually bets these though? Like, who puts money and lets it sit in there that long?
I mean, I hate it, but I did it because I got the boost. Like, I wouldn't have bet it.
You're rich. You love just letting it sit in there. You don't care.
No, but I agree with you. Most people don't want to bet,
especially when you're like a normal bettor. Like, say you're $100 bettor. Like, who's going in there and putting $120 on the freaking Raptors to make win 30 games?
Hey, you're the one that wanted to do this.
I liked it. I was just making fun. I like it just for talk, just to talk about. I don't like actually going in and putting I would have to really like a bet. Like, I would have to think about it. If you just put $120 in a damn savings account, you would make a little bit and something over that long.
Now, for sure. Now you're making me worried though about the Spurs, because I'm excited to watch the Spurs.
I just know how Pop is, and like, think about it. If they could somehow get that Atlanta pick plus their own pick, I don't know all the dynamics of all their picks and stuff, but if they could somehow bring in 2 more dudes with Wemby, they're going to be just how they were for the 15 years where they won everything for 15 straight years.
Yeah, so listen to this. So they got their own pick, Atlanta's unprotected first round pick. They've got a Charlotte protected pick 1 through 14. They've got Chicago. Listen to this. They've got Chicago's protected pick 1 through 10. So if the Bulls are actually dumb enough to where they don't get play hard and don't have a really bad team, they could lose out on that pick if they get it outside of 10. It's crazy. and then they have the rights to swap Atlanta's pick in
I'm
2026.
definitely worried about Wemby getting put on the shelf for a decent amount of time, just to totally like put him on ice.
I didn't even realize this. They have Atlanta's swap rights in 2026, so they can swap picks with Atlanta next year as well. In the 2 years from now,
All because of the DeJounte trade. What was it?
I
It
think
had to be
so.
the DeJounte trade.
Yeah, I think so. Which
Unbelievable.
he didn't even fit on that team because, like he said, he goes, "I'm back to playing my real position and not relegated to the corner or the wing." The guy's not a wing; he's a point guard. Like
that's the problem with a lot of these NBA teams is there's only one ball, so that's what makes Jokic so good. I know we always come, but because he makes everyone better. All these other, you can't put Trey and DeJounte together. You can't put a lot of these guys together, and it's going to be the issue. And that's what makes Ant great, though, how we loved him in the playoff. He's one of those guys that's just going to get the ball and go with it, and there's just not a ton of that. Even Boston, I know they won it, but they have a lot of guys that need the ball. That's why bringing in those two guys.
The only thing with Boston is multiple of their starters are cool with not having the ball.
The best role players you could have in the world. That's what I was saying. I mean, Derek White and Drew Holiday and Al Horford are the three best role guys you could have in the world.
Think about it, though. Drew Holiday in the regular season versus Drew Holiday in the postseason, Tony. Like, they're different guys. Those were different guys. He did not give a shit in the regular season at all. In the postseason, though, he turned it on, man.
It's the way to do it,
really
too.
Good.
It's Jimmy Butler broke that code. Like, just coast. Like, every once in a while you can turn up, but let the young guys go out and battle every night. You don't have to just go crazy during the regular season because seeding doesn't really matter in the NBA either. Don't get me wrong. It helps. Like, some teams, even like Denver, the home court is pretty big, but health is way more important than any sort of seeding.
All right. Anything else here in the wins column?
No. What's our title? What's our title odds?
Whose title odds? You mean
just
by
like overall? Let's pick our.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Denver's title odds because you said we. So I thought you were talking about your team, Denver. So
I don't like Denver that much.
I don't like Denver either.
Jamal Murray just looks so terrible. he's gotta somehow figure out what happened.
So the Celtics are plus 310, Thunder plus 650. Those are the favorites. And then you got the Knicks at 8-1, Denver at plus 950, Timberwolves at 10-1, Sixers at 10-1, Dallas at 10-1, Milwaukee at 14-1, and then everyone else is 30-1 or bigger, pretty much. So any long shots? I'm assuming you probably are going to like the Celtics or.
It's the same thing as always when we do these shows, though. Like, I don't like the Celtics at 3-1, though.
Me neither.
I mean, it's one thing to pick who you think. Like, I think the Celtics should probably win again, for sure. But I'm never, ever betting it at 3-1. There's still one, like, Jason Tatum injury away from not being there. So,
yep.
I just like the Knicks are the team that just sticks out to me. I know they play hard. I love the cat. 8-1. I think I'm going in on the Knicks in the East because I like that regular season bet. I like the 8-1. Give me the Knicks in the East. I'm picking I like all their odds, so I'm picking the Knicks. I don't like any of those other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Knicks too. And on top of it, Tony, the Knicks and the Celtics are probably going to be 1-2 when it's all said and done in the regular season. So, I don't really like the East outside of those two teams. So I feel like it's a way easier path. Whereas the West, dude, the West is going to be like murderer's row. Like it's literally going to be so tough for these teams. It's going to come down to who stays the healthiest, I think, like at the top, you know what I mean? Because I can make a case for, I don't like Phoenix, obviously. I think the Lakers having 30-1 odds, I think is interesting. Because I don't.
Lakers. I got a Laker. People make fun of me for the Nuggets. I got a Laker problem. I always think they're better than they are.
I do too, but I also think I think they're going to end up like 8th or 7th.
That's fine, though.
No, what sucks about that? what sucks about that though is they're going to have to play OKC or Minnesota or one of these top teams. They're going to have to play one of the top teams right off the bat, which sucks for the Lakers. You know what I mean? And you saw it with the Nuggets the last. It's just
as long as they don't have to. I keep saying the same damn thing about as long as they don't have to play the Nuggets. The Nuggets are their team. Let them play these other teams. I'm not saying they for sure would beat these teams, but they can't beat the Nuggets. They can beat these other teams.
No, exactly.
I know a lot of people hated on JJ. I just think JJ Redick's gonna crush. So I'm just a fan.
I agree with Brittany. You have an LBJ problem. You literally have an LBJ problem.
I did have an LBJ problem for sure. I loved him for forever when people were saying he would never win and stuff. But I actually haven't liked them that much lately. I just like their team. They if you just look at their team, they have good guys. They have good enough guys to win. And I still think Anthony Davis is the kryptonite if he stays healthy, which he did last year. I still just think he's one of the only guys that can give Jokic problems. So
he's just one of those guys that affects the game so much offensively and defensively. It's just crazy. I agree with you on the Anthony Davis.
I'm picking Lakers Knicks. That's my by the odds. That's my pick. Who do I think it'll be? Not talking odds. I think Boston. Yeah, I'll go with my Nuggets still, just for fun. Boston Nuggets with the odds. Knicks, Lakers. Those are my two picks.
God, the team
Lakers 30-1 though. That's my pick for the champion. What the?
No, odds? I think it's not a terrible bet, but the team that I actually want. I wish that they traded Brandon Ingram. I want to the Pelicans because I love their team.
Yeah.
I love their team.
They're a perfect example of they got too many guys though. They got too many.
I know they need to trade some of these guys
in the kitchen.
I agree with you. I agree because I love Trey Murphy. He sucks. I love Trey Murphy. I love Herb Jones. These are great role players. I love DeJounte Murray. Zion can't stay healthy, but I would like him. I'd like their setup if they traded BI. They were
painful in the playoffs. They were painful.
Yeah, I agree with you. Painful. And I'm not betting Phoenix. People fell for that trap. No friggin' way can I bet Phoenix.
They're a year older too. All these teams that get a year older start like Golden State. They're a year older. These teams that get older are not gonna resurface.
What about Minnesota? I never got to talk to you about the trade. They traded Cat.
I just have never been a Minnesota fan. You know that, so I'm the wrong guy to ask you. But I love Ant. I'm with you on Ant. I hate Gobert. I freaking hate him. And he's still going to have a role. I don't love their offense. I'm easy to predict. I'm never going to like defensive heavy team. I want offense. I want teams that can score. That's why I like the Knicks and the team in the Lakers. I think they got a little of both.
I think the team that is going to get back there is the Dallas Mavericks, probably. They're 10-1 right now.
I think should worry you about that. Everyone's so high on them, and they're still 10-1 below Minnesota, Denver, and OKC. Even though they look that good and they're a year, I don't love their roster either. I feel like Luka. Granted, this is always what people say about Jokic, so it just looks like he's one thing away from just not being able to move.
He always gets injured.
I know, and then he always is really good.
He's a walking injury. He's literally got knee, ankle, shoulder.
In my head, I feel like he can't just keep making it through at that level. And the shots he takes, though, are so hard. I feel like it's not going to go that easy, but it's.
So I'm the opposite of you, though. I kind of like the construction of their team. They did lose Derek Jones, but dude, they got Najee Marshall from the Pels, who I actually really like, and I think can fill in that role. They got Quentin Grimes, who I think is a good role player. They've got good. I think they have good. They have Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford at center, and I think Lively is gonna, get better. I thought he looked really good towards the end of the year and in the playoffs, and then. I think he's going to get better off that year. I love PJ Washington as a defender. And if he can make shots, if he can just make some threes, like he's a good player. He's a great role player, Tony, because he knows his role. Play defense, hit open threes. Like as simple as that. And then you add Klay Thompson, who I know we both don't love.
He still fills the need because they couldn't make shots. Like it's all about fit in the NBA, and he fits their build. I think he probably won't even make it. He
fits with Luka though, because Luka, I know he takes tough shots, Tony, but he's going to draw so much attention, him and Kyrie, that Klay is just going to get open looks. And that's why I like PJ too, because PJ is going to get wide open. You have to give something up when you play the Mavericks. It's going to come down to one of those two guys.
Was bad the last couple of years, though. Like, real bad.
Yeah. It's going to be defensively. If you think about it too, Tony, what's going to give this team problems is going to be like really good guards on the perimeter. Because like Klay,
they're going to roast them.
Luka, Kyrie actually was really good, in my opinion, in the finals, like defending. Kyrie was actually, he turns it up when he wants to, Tony. I don't like, I
feel like he might have peaked a little. That's my issue. I think I'm probably wrong. I'll admit when I think I'm probably wrong. I just feel like they might have hit their peak a little bit last year.
I don't know. I like their team the way it's constructed. They got I like these guys. I don't know.
Get in there on them. Is that your pick? 10-1.
That's my pick. I'm going back to it. 10-1. I'm going back to it here. I think they get it. They get it done. They get to the finals here. Knicks and Mavericks. You got the Lakers and the Knicks, right?
By the odds, yes. By the odds, those
by the odds. Yeah. Okay.
I want to clarify. I know how people that watch these shows are. They'll say all year, you said the Lakers were gonna, by the odds. I think the odds are good.
Well, when you bet these things, you should take the odds into account.
Yeah, correct.
It's not
like if you just said who's going to make the finals, no odds, I'm not picking the freaking Lakers.
And like you said too, it's a long season. You never know what happens, because one injury, even the Knicks, Jalen Brunson goes down. Like, what do you?
The cat goes down now. Like teams can't lose guys. I mean, how many teams can lose? It's what happened to the Nuggets. I mean, Jamal Murray just fell off the planet. Like you can't lose your guys.
He struggled too in the the FIBA or whatever, the Olympics or whatever. He was terrible. I didn't watch a ton, but I remember watching like one or two games. He was just awful. Like it was just
awful. He's another guy though that like he couldn't play with SGA because he just wouldn't get the ball ever. So it's tough. And obviously he's not getting the ball over SGA.
No, definitely not. That's the thing though. Like when you're used to having the ball, Tony, right? It's just got to kill Jamal Murray. Like he's used to having
play
the
with
ball.
Jokic too. So he's either got the ball or he's like working off the ball to get it, and then SGA's just dribble into everything.
Yeah, SGA is a completely different animal. Do you like any awards before we get to these two games? Do you like any awards?
I mean, I think Wemby to win defense is a lock. I didn't pull these up.
I mean, he's like minus 200, I think, right?
It's the same thing where like we can talk about it for the sake of argument, but I'm never like actually betting that. But yeah, I think Wemby to win defense is pretty much a lock. But again, what if they sit him down? Then he's not going to win it. What do they got to play? 65 games? Is that what it was for these awards? He might not play 65.
I just don't think like Wemby's one of those guys. He just seems like he wants to play. Like I just don't know if you can just sit him. Like maybe they can. Maybe if they're really bad.
They just like sell the long-term vision to him. Like if I'm just totally thinking outside the box, like they're like, dude, if we can get Cooper Flag and we can get one other guy, like we're gonna win for the next 15 years. Like your legacy is gonna be. All you got to do is just chill this year. Get stronger. Work on your game. You'll play some, but you're going to also sit for 2 months in the middle of the season to just totally rest up. I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen either. But
Big D have the lotion for when they come in. We need to let's transition to tonight because I don't have that much time left.
Yeah,
but so right out of the gate though, because it's more important to First of all, I haven't even fully looked. Bronny is like actually he's not like two-way everything. He's signed, right? 2 years.
He's signed, and I watched something that it was. I think they were interviewing him, and they asked him like straight up, like, do you think you'll get into the game or something like that? And he's
No
like,
way they're not playing him tonight, at least
he
for a
said,
couple minutes.
honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. Something like that, where
No
it's
way
like, I'm
they
not
don't.
sure.
There's got to be a bet out there, right, on DraftKings if he
I,
plays.
I have no idea, but there should be if there's
There's
not. Like
no
if
way he's not
DraftKings,
playing opening night, LeBron and him. I'm not saying he's going to play 20 minutes. He's going to play at
he's
least
not.
one run, though. There's no way he's not going in
He
there.
gets 5 to 7 minutes at most,
Yeah.
because right now, the way this team's constructed, he's got Max Christie in front of him. He's got Dalton Connect in front of him. He's got Gabe Vincent probably in front of him. He's got, I mean, Rui's a starter, obviously, and I guess a different position. Hood, Shafino, maybe Bronny's in front of him. I don't think he should be, but maybe he is. So right there, Tony, though, like he's sitting as like the sixth guard or something like that, like by my calculations, just from that right there. So if he gets in, it's literally just like maybe the end of the half, Tony. Maybe it's like, there's like a couple minutes left in the half and
You just
LeBron's
know,
in.
like JJ and Bron are buddies, and he might not play hardly again the rest of the freaking year outside of scrub time.
Yeah.
But opening night, like there's just no damn way at the Staples. There's just no way this dude is not playing a few minutes. I mean, if Jackson Hayes can play a few minutes, granted it's a different position, but it's the same. Like the dude can freaking go out there and play a few minutes.
He's 3,500, 200.
No
I
one
can't play him.
disagrees. I love when people say this. Like everyone agrees on this. Like it's not a contrarian take. Everyone knows that it's only because of LeBron, but it's still cool that it's him and his kid. Like it's not because he's skilled.
So I guess Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr.'s, like, I guess those two guys are going to both be at the game.
Are
like
they?
they have
no
to.
way this dude's not. There's got to be a bet out there because
that's why they asked him the question, Tony. Because they're like Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. He's like, that's going to be cool. Like seeing him there. Like I can't wait to meet. That's going to be really cool. Like to meet him and stuff like that. And he was talking about that. So well, I agree with you. He's got to play. I don't think he's.
This is another comment too. Like we're not playing Bronny. I'm literally just talking about him entering the game.
Yeah, no, we're not playing Bronny. Like he's a terrible play. Even if he played 15 minutes, is a terrible play. Like
he's just not. There's just no way. Like he's not even projected on any of the sites.
Did you see D Book? It was sitting on the bench as they were playing him in like a preseason game, and the camera like caught D Book saying like he just ain't that good. Like to somebody else on the bench.
Shit talk him hard.
I just love it because it's like stars, and I don't know how close they are with LeBron, but I feel like LeBron tries to be close with all the top players. So I just think it's interesting when like other top players like secretly just like try to like, oh, he sucks. Like he's not good. Because people in their head, even if they're friends with LeBron, are probably in their head like, this dude's just not an NBA guy. You know what I mean? Like, they're saying that in the back of their minds, no matter what. I bet you some of the teammates are saying that. Like the Lakers teammates are saying like, this dude's not good. And they see him every day. So, all right, let's pull this up though, Tony. New York. Do you want to just go position by position real quick, or do you want to go game? Yeah. All right. So point guards. What?
Nothing. I was just nothing.
Okay. All right. So point guards. Jalen Brunson is obviously the most expensive, 8,700. Again, on these early slates, the price tags are going to be a little suppressed at the top because they're going to want you to be able to get these studs in. So you're going to notice like the mid-tier guys are priced correctly or closer to correct, and the studs are going to be priced. They do this every year, and the studs are going to be priced lower than what they normally are, as you get into the season. And that's because they want, newer players to be able to build lineups and to be able to get their favorite players to play LeBron, to play Jason Tatum or Anthony Davis, Jalen Brunson. They want you to be able to do that. So it's definitely softer pricing at the top, Tony. The mid-tier it is a little more correct. But, Jalen Brunson's a big difference between the next point guard. Is he just the best overall play at that position, or are you going more into that mid-tier and cheaper for point guard?
Yeah, it's tough because, like you said, the stud guys are cheaper. You do worry a little bit about minutes early in the season, but it's opening night. I always feel like they're going to get run opening night, and the problem though is the value. There's not like that much value as we go through some of these positions and stuff. It's not that there is some plays like Deuce McBride's a point guard that 3,600. I really like him, but part of my issue with the mid range though at point guard at least, Derek White's fine. Like I could definitely. He's more of like a mid season play for me though. He's a glue guy. Like you said, when the stars are 10-5 instead of 8,700, it's more Derek White. I don't love it. I'm okay with them. I'll have some Derek White. D'Lo, I just don't love D'Lo. Obviously, Drew Holiday, don't love him. Austin Reeves. I just don't like point guard outside of Brunson and then the cheap. So it's just like you said, Peyton Pritchard, I think, is pretty sneaky all year. But opening night, I always weigh it more opening night just because these guys want to put on a little show out of the gate. A week from now, I think Peyton Pritchard's I still think Peyton Pritchard's in play tonight just because of the value. But I think he's going to be a lot better play in the next couple weeks. So for me, a point guard, it honestly starts and ends with like Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride, the top and the bottom for me, the cheap and the expensive.
So I got a couple takes here. One, I remember getting shit on for talking up Peyton Pritchard as a good basketball player. He would literally be a starting point guard for probably like at least 10 teams in the NBA right now. Like starter, like would be the starting guy and would be one of the better players on like at least 10 teams right now, maybe more than that. Honestly, he's really good. And he kind of showed it when, like Tony said, in the middle and end of the year when they were giving him chances to like start and play big minutes when some guys were out. And he would just put up crazy stats in really good games. So I agree with Tony. It's probably not the spot for someone like Peyton Pritchard, but I also agree, like, it's kind of like a spend down or spend up, spend down spot. My favorite, obviously Jalen Brunson, but my favorite mid-tier guy would be D'Angelo Russell. Because I think that someone like him, who's a volume 3-point shooter against a team like Minnesota, who's got rim protection, he's a guy that could pop off. I think him with JJ Redick, he's going to be even better with JJ.
You just said it perfect. JJ Redick, the one thing he's going to be able to do is create offense for some of these guys, 100%.
Yes. And he knows exactly how to use D'Lo. Like I think D'Lo was one of the guys he even talked up. I remember listening to him talk up D'Lo, as a guy who he can like enhance almost his game and get him in the right spots. So I think it's him as my mid-range guy. I think Dante DiVincenzo is someone that you're leaving out that you should definitely put back in.
I like him
think
too.
I don't know what 6 man of the year odds are, but if Dante DiVincenzo's got like decent odds, like if he's not like one of the favorites, which I don't know, I think he could be the 6 man of the year this year. He's pissed that the Knicks traded him. You could tell when he was John with Tibbs in that preseason game. I think
all his boys are on the team and he got shipped out.
He got shipped out. Yeah, and he said that's what happens when you run the team or something like that, the Tibbs. So he's mad. I think he's going to show it this year. He was awesome last year. The one thing with the Timberwolves, I said it all year, besides the fact that they played the double big, and I didn't like that shit in certain matchups, they did not have a dude who could just, outside of Ant, who could just pull up from 3 and get hot. And Dante is as hot and cold as they get, but when he gets hot, he's the exact type of guy, Tony, I thought that they needed on the perimeter. Now, I think that Julius Randle for Cat is a big difference, in my opinion. I don't like the swap there, but I really like the Dante pickup. So for me, 5,100, I think Dante plays a lot for this team, even if he doesn't start. I think he plays a ton, and I think he fits perfectly for DraftKings scoring with the 3-point bonus. So him, Peyton Pritchard, and then the other guy, you brought up Miles McBride. The guy who's looked really good in preseason that I've noticed is campaign with this team. He looks really good with this team. So he's more of like a sneaky.
Him, he's the type of leverage play that you can leverage in this field, because always we talk about projections. Projections are not going to like him. And the opening night and early in the year is when you can leverage the projections because they don't know. So what JSU just said, he looked good preseason. No one's going to play him because he's not projected good. So those are the plays you got to lean into.
And on top of it, Boston, they don't, without Porzingis, like they could go small. Knicks are going to play small. They don't have Precious. They don't have Mitchell Robinson. So when Cat's not on the floor for those 10 minutes or 8 minutes, they could go small instead of with Jericho Sims. If they do that we've seen OG at the 5. I wouldn't be shocked if they went like OG, Josh Hart, 5-4, which I think means you could see a double guard lineup like Campaign, Miles McBride, or Jalen Brunson Campaign, McBride, Jalen Brunson. So that's another reason.
It's still a 2-game slate too, where opening night, one of these games could be, it happens every year where one of these games is a 40-point beatdown. Yes. So like the minute that happens, you can win a lot in DFS just from overstacking one game in certain spots like that. So I mean, that Minnesota Lakers game easily could end up a blowout, even though the spread's
I think that's the one that if you made me pick like one of the two to be a blowout, it would be that one. But let's move to
the Knicks, honestly, like beating up Boston. Boston's getting their rings, I assume. I could see the Knicks like coming out and trying hard in Boston.
The Knicks are gonna try hard.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And Boston could be just partying, just having some fun. It happens all the time with these champs.
So shooting guard, let's just move into it. Obviously, you have the dual position, so some of these guys are eligible at shooting guard. But who sticks out to you that we haven't kind of discussed at point guard?
I'll just go real quick position because I got our boy Travis coming in here just so we don't have to tie it up so quick.
Okay,
he's gonna come in and talk more because I got to go and I don't want to cut it too short. So I'll just go position by position super quick of who my thoughts, and then I'll go to the bullpen for our boy Trav. There he is. There's big Trav. So shooting guard real quick, and he's coming in on mute though. That isn't good. That isn't good.
Go for it though, Tony, because I know you got to get out of here. Yeah. So
just real quick, I'll go. So shooting guard, obviously, like we talked about with Brunson, Ant's going to be ready to play tonight, opening night. He's an opening night type guy, and he's somewhat fair price, 8,800. Don't like Jalen. We talked about White. I never like Bridges. He's going to be a perfect fit as far as basketball in New York. The style they play is perfect for him. Fantasy-wise, though, 6,800. I don't see that at all. Austin Reeves, Dante. So all these guys we already pretty much talked about. Dalton Connect looked really good in the preseason. I definitely think you can try him, but he's expensive. And honestly, I like JSU's take about Campaign a little bit more than Connect in this spot. Small forward, you got the stars that are just mispriced on opening night. I mean, Tatum 9K, LeBron 8,900. I mean, it's tough to ignore those prices. You're going to want to play some of these guys because they're going to want to show out too opening night. But after that, I mean, the mid-range, like OG, you guys followed it way closer than me in the preseason. Is this dude healthy now?
He looks good. He looks good.
If he looks good, I love him at 5,300. I mean, that's one of the best prices of the whole slate. And I
think he's a lock, Tony. I think
I ran the Sims coming on, and the funny thing is, all these Hard hit 73% on my stuff. OG hit 60% just because of their prices. They're 5,600 and 5,300, and you know for a fact Tibbs is going to run these guys. So I like those guys. That's pretty much it. It's small forward. Power forward, same studs. I don't like Randall. I do think Randall has a chance to be decent in Minnesota because he's at least a little more aggressive than Cat. Cat's more of a shooter, obviously. Randall's got a little bit of that nasty in him, which might actually fit with Ant and their style better than Cat, even though I think Cat's a way better player. Maybe it ends up being a trade. In Minnesota, the one thing you can't ever ignore about Minnesota is Connolly is just a freaking mastermind with rosters. So even though I think the Knicks got the better of him, don't be surprised if Randall somehow fits perfect with this team. Just don't be. Every move he's made has been perfect. So from the time he was in Denver when everything went his way, Minnesota, everything went his way. You can't ignore that stuff. It's like Tampa Bay in baseball where everything just turns up aces for him. At the bottom, Nas Reed, I always like him at 4,900. That's pretty much it at power forward. And then center, I freaking love Cat. Cat's my play of the day. I won't be here at the end for the show, or the plays of the day, but the workbench plays got to be Cat today, 7,800. I love the new fit. I think Tibbs will know how to properly use him. He'll get his minutes if he doesn't pick up stupid fouls. I love Cat. And the good thing is at center, like I like AD and I like Cat, which are the studs, but I don't see a ton besides that. I mean, I'm never playing Gobert really. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm going to head off to the lovely place called the Dentist. Travis is going to take over. We'll see you boys.
Later, Anthony. All right. So there goes Big T. Come on. Don't hit end stream, please.
How about hit the wrong button? That would have been bad.
Yeah. All right, there we go. What's up, man? Going. We were just breaking down position by position when Anthony had to get out of here. So I want to get your takes on the position by position. But what's up, man? You ready for some hoops today?
Yeah, I'm ready. I was like 30 minutes behind watching the stream. Both of you guys talking. So no, happy to be here. NBA season is finally upon us, and I mean, I love that we got these games, right? Like we get all these new rosters we get to watch. It'll be a lot of fun. And people hate on like, it's only a 2-game slate and stuff, but you can find easy ways to be different, but just still play a lot of the good plays. And there's going to be mispricings as well. Like this slate is not the same as like a 2-game slate that you might find in like February or something like that. So there's just different pricing, and you're going to have to like kind of play plays and go overweight on them. So I don't know. I'm super excited about, again, it's opening day. Tomorrow will be crazy with all the news and stuff, but should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely 2 good games, which I'm pumped about. And I agree with you. Like opening night, I think teams are going to push it a little bit more than maybe they would just on a random, Thursday here, especially good teams, right? Like, listen, the Knicks know, like they're going to Boston here. Boston just won the championship. You don't think the Knicks want to, kind of show out here with Boston getting their rings and stuff like that to put it on Boston? Like, I definitely think so. So
sure. My counter JSU with Boston, like I know people could say like, oh, the hangover, blah, blah, blah. Dude, if there's a team that's won the title and feels slighted after and like feels like everyone's making fun of them, it's this team, right? Like name a team in the past. I don't think
it's a hangover though. I don't think Boston's a hangover. I just think the Knicks are. I think the Knicks are just like that type of team that doesn't give a shit. Like they're just going to go in there and play hard. They're just one of those teams that night in, night out, I think they're going to play hard. And I think, it's not a hangover. I think the Knicks and Boston are close. Like, yeah, Boston's got more talent than the Knicks for sure. But the Knicks are a good team. They're very well constructed. They've got length, good defense. They just added Cat, who I think is an upgrade over someone like Randall, and I think gives them that like stretch 5 that is gonna make it more difficult for sure for teams to handle Jalen Brunson with him out there, for sure. And Cat can do a little of everything. Like Cat's he's not a bad passer. He can rebound. It'll be interesting to see without Gobert, what he does when he's like the big, you know what I mean? He's playing that 5 role a lot, which I think he will play a lot of 5, especially with Precious and Mitchell Robinson being out to start the season. I think he has to play more 5 on this team in general. And, it's good for fantasy because I think his numbers are going to be very good, especially early. But let's go
and
position by position.
Real quick for the Cat stuff. To be fair to him, he used to never want to play that position. Let's see if he actually wants to now. Like playing a year with Gobert, maybe that helped make him better at that position. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs, right? Like he was pretty good against Jokic and everything. So I
thought he played tougher. And as someone, I've been critical about Cat, and one of the reasons I didn't like Cat, especially for the first few years of the season, and no one can deny this too, is I thought he was just soft. Thought he was soft mentally. I thought he was soft, like physically, like when he played the game of basketball, he was taking like terrible shots, fading away constantly, not taking contact and going through contact. all the time. And it just drove me nuts. Like, I just like, dude, you're super talented. Yes, you can shoot threes, but don't be afraid to get in there, go move someone and dunk. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to do that. And I think he did a little better, like playing a little more physical, and maybe it helped. Like you said, playing with Gobert. I think Ant had something to do with it though, too, because Ant was his biggest like fan. It seemed like he was the guy who said like, nah, man, like Cat, that's my dude. Like, he's the man. Like, we need Cat. You know, I think he built his confidence up a little bit, and I'm sure he was in there, whether it was practice, before games, kind of hyping him up like, dude, like you can go out there, you're going to beast these teams, you're going to own them. And it kind of looked to me like his confidence grew big time with, Anthony Edwards. So maybe he brings that over to the Knicks. I think he will bring it over to the Knicks too, to be honest. Yeah. So they got a bunch of tough dudes like Josh Hart, OG, Jalen Brunson. Those guys are going to be, getting on him too. Like if he's not playing that way. So we'll see. But let's go. I want to get your take on point guard since I already gave my take. Are there any point guards that you see that are just must plays?
Yeah, point guard. So obviously we're not going to get any. That's simply the position that and center are like the value positions that can open up when there's injuries. That's not one of those slates. So let's at least kind of call that out right away. I think that's important. When you run everything, there's not a lot of point guards to absolutely like love on this slate. Like, of course, Brunson can always get the job done. 8.7K feels cheap for him when we think of last season. We don't know what this season Brunson's going to exactly look like with usage and everything. So I'm curious to see. I don't think he's some priority that I need to spend up on or anything like that. The one interesting thing that I noticed that was popping a bit was Miles McBride, right? He is just popping a lot today. And I'm not going to say I'm not sure why. I think he's going to be the guy that's like their sixth man kind of role. And he's 3.6K also on these shorter slates. You need to get studs in. Like a great example to explain why you need studs compared to other sports. We've seen Big T ship showdowns with the 3 studs and 0s from Torrey Craig, right? This was like a couple years ago. Maybe it was even during COVID, but like stars are just a priority. Like Miles McBride could get 9 off the bench and be on the winner. We even saw it last night in NFL. You needed the stars. You had guys like with snowflakes. So I think Miles McBride is going to be a value that people are looking at. Now, do what you want that information. Maybe it's to punt a different, spot. I think McBride is fine, but I prefer him in the shooting guard spot more. I know you talked about the campaign thing. I think I heard one of you guys mention. That's a great pivot off of McBride if you want to get different in that way. Again, though, I think the best way to do it, and I'm big on positions, use it more at the shooting guard. I don't think that's a bad way to go about it. Also, if you think the game goes small, which I think the game has a chance to go small. We heard them in the offseason, the Celtics talk about it. They said, hey, some games we just kind of like use like different players because it makes sense. We want to build their confidence. I don't know. Maybe it's a spot to really get Peyton Pritchard even more involved on this team.
It's not the spot against the Knicks. They were talking about against teams like Washington, Detroit, where they can sit some of their stars or vets and give the reins more to a Peyton Pritchard, a Sam Hauser, and also like let them be more of the guys in those spots, to honestly give the stars a rest, even some of the stars that are in the game. Like they're like, hey, we'll take a back seat, in some of those spots where we know our other guys can still get it done for us. So,
but if
I don't think it's against the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I'll just say this. If you do think it goes that way, right? If you think the OG at the 5 stuff is going to happen, then I think that could be unlocked. I agree. It's not something I'm dying to do. I would rather the campaign pivot, like you said, because there's so much value to the leverage that it provides. So I agree 100% on that. But for me, I think my favorite guy at the point guard position, if I have to pick one, it's probably Drew Holiday. He's just going to be in the game so much. And I know this is a DraftKings centric show, but I'll just call this out on the site we don't mention. Steals and blocks matter a lot on that site, right? They are worth 3 fantasy points. And I'm only going to say this once just because, again, it's not the site that we like to talk about. But on that site specifically, the stocks are so important that I want to embrace that variance of those defensive stats more and more this season, where I want to bump those projections even higher just because of the variance of it. Like, for instance, when you're playing a receiver like a Tyreek Hill that has tremendous upside, sometimes you bump that projection, you bump it just slightly higher because you know the ceiling that's not like calculated in as much as maybe in the medium projection. I want to take advantage of that with defensive players on FanDuel because I'm playing for first place. So, okay, that's enough of mentioning that site though. I do think my favorite guys though are the Boston guards. If I had to pick, it's the Boston and Knicks guards. I'm not excited about that next game coming up guards.
And just a couple questions. I mean, first of all, Hart playing backup, it doesn't matter. Like Hart, OG, it's the same thing. If they play a small ball 5 lineup, which, okay, is it Hart? Is it OG? They put OG on Embiid. Like, it doesn't matter though. Like, if they go that route, that's going to benefit a guard because that means that they're playing a guard next to Brunson, in that scenario, or Bridges or whoever. So that's more the point anyways. But either way, that doesn't really matter. And then someone said Sims or Reddish. I don't think Reddish is in play like at all. Sims, I don't really like either, but I could at least see a path to where he gets 15 minutes.
Well, the path would be the path would be JSU is you hate spending up at center, right? And you're just doing it to flip the build a little bit.
Well, also too, Cat get in foul trouble.
Yeah, that's it.
Cat get in foul trouble. They don't go small; they go big. That's the way I would see it. So, yeah, Sims. I kind of agree with this. Sims needs 27 minutes at that price tag. He's just not a guy for me.
Is he expensive?
So
no,
he's
cheap. He's just saying he's a shitty fantasy like point per minute guy. So, which I kind of agree with. Jason says I rather Pritchard over McBride. I kind of agree. I think Pritchard's got more upside, honestly, but they're close.
McBride's going to have the opportunity, though, right? And like opportunities king in the NBA.
You would think. Again, I don't know though. Like Pritchard to me is really good, but their $1,100 difference in price is a big.
Yeah,
there's a pretty big like price gap there. But I like overall, I do like Pritchard. If we're just going like straight up, I guess. So
yeah, I think the big thing I'm noticing from like our guard conversation is I think a lot of these guards that we do like, we want to kind of plug them in the shooting guard spot. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like a lot of the guards that are values that we think could get there or be, on the winner. It seems like you want to put him in the shooting guard spot and not as much the point guard. I mean, that's kind of my lean.
Yeah. Yeah, McBride plays. I'm not talking about as a complete player. I'm more just talking about from a fantasy side. But yeah, McBride plays defense. I do agree with that. All right. So shooting guard, like I said, there's some guys that, dual eligibility, you're going to be able to play at point guard or shooting guard, man, going. But just a couple of the guys that are shooting guard only or shooting guard small forward. Anthony Edwards at 8'8". Jaylen Brown at 8'2". Those are the two top most expensive guys. Then you got Mikal Bridges, who I think is the only Nick that's priced correctly. And I probably have ranked 5th of the starters. So like if I just rank them, in my own rankings with price included, he would be number 5 out of the starters for me. So he's probably just someone I'm not going to get to at that price tag. Also, I don't know if you noticed, he changed up his shot a little bit. I don't know if you saw that, Mangone. His shot's a little funky. You should go look it up after a preseason game where he's shooting, because it's a little interesting. When they played Minnesota, he was at the free throw line, and Ant's like, and you could just hear the audio. Ant just go, he changed his shot. What was that? He changed his shot, like something like that. It was just funny. He just said it out loud, just as he bricked it. But he's someone I'm not going to play. So then you get into like Austin Reeves, 6K. I don't really like this spot for Austin Reeves. He is point guard and shooting guard eligible, but we didn't bring him up. I'd prefer D'Lo over him, but he's not shooting guard eligible. You got Derek White, who's got both eligibility. Dalton Connect, I think he's the 1 minute LA bench guy that I'll probably have a little interest in, just because I think he's got upside at 3,900. I just don't know how much he plays is the problem. Like, is Max Christie slightly ahead of him? Is it more dependent on what they need out there? Which I feel like Mangone is more like, okay, do I need Max Christie, like the defense more? Do I need the offense? Right. Like, I think JJ Redick is going to maybe go to start off the season, maybe go based on it. But I feel like it's Connect who's going to end up being their guy off the bench. I just don't know if it's game one, but I could take a chance on it. So who do you think it is then? Because it's got to be one of these guys off the bench.
Sure. This might be small. I don't know how much they're going to do this bullshit, but the Bronny thing, like, do we worry about that?
He's not going to play that much. No.
Okay. I was just wondering, because it sounds like he's coming in at the 12-minute mark of the second quarter. So right at the beginning. That's like the rumor, because I don't know if you saw like the Ken Griffey and his son.
I saw that. Okay. I saw that. Yeah.
They're going to do that crap for sure. So, I mean, I think Connect will be a really solid piece for this team. I just don't love it this game. Like, he is someone
who's their main guy off the bench? Like, I just got to ask you, because, I mean, you know who their starters are. They got AD, LeBron, Russ, Reeves, Rui. That's their starting five. They're not going away from that. But, like, they still have to play some of these guys. Is it Gabe Vincent? Is it Connect? Is it Christie? Like, those are the three guys that just pop off to me, Mangone. I think it's got to be one of those three guys.
It's definitely like those three, and like I think it's hot hand in how things are going. But I'm just saying this. I don't want to make any stand on any of these guys today. Like, I don't think this is going to win or lose me GPPs tonight. Does that make sense? If anything, I want to be underweight.
No, that makes sense. I'm just saying, like, it's a 2-game slate, and I think if you have a lean on who you think it is, it's not a bad idea to take a shot.
I think and this isn't like,
because everyone's going to play McBride. Everyone's going to play the cheap guys in the other game. And I think if you have a take on this game and this particular team in general, I mean, some of these guys are older, Mango. They're not going to push some of these guys. Like, the Lakers are the one team, if any team opening night won't push, it would be the Lakers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if I did play, I guess you could make a case for the cheap punt. The point I was going to get at with Connect is I think I'd rather play him in small forward a little bit, if that makes sense. Like, just because if I had to pick between the guys that you're mentioning from the cheap Lakers, at least he has small forward eligibility, right? Like, Gabe Vincent doesn't have that. I think that matters. So I have more opportunities to get him in my lineups. So I guess I'll lean Connect. If you force me to pick, I'll probably pick Connect just because of the eligibility. That's really the reasoning. It's not a great reasoning because, again, we're picking between garbage, in my opinion, on that. I think there's other ways to kind of make the stands on this slate. So, I mean, I know Big T uses this point a bunch. Back to the point of, like, I talked about how, like, everyone's spending down at guard. Like, some of the worst plays, it looks like, on the slate when you run raw projections, some of the worst plays are Jaylen Brown and Anthony Edwards, in my opinion, of when you run projections.
Mm-hmm.
I think spending up for those guys is a super great contrarian way to go about it. And I actually think I want to spend up at shooting guard a little bit more. And again, I know I talked about, hey, if you are playing like a cash game format or like a 3-max, you are probably going to want to get to like the Miles McBrides and those values. But in this large field tournament that we're trying to win, dude, I'm going to go way overweight on Ant. Like, Ant is someone I want to take a huge stand on today. I think it makes so much sense to. So I like Ant Edwards. He is going to be someone that I take a massive stand on. Again, Jaylen Brown's fine, but there's another Celtic that we'll get to that I really want to take a big stand on as well. So Ant Edwards is going to be my spend up shooting guard that I think is going to be a really nice contrarian build.
Here's the thing with Ant, and I've kind of realized it. Like, he's one of those guys. I just wonder, he's got some new players on the team. Does he try to get them more involved? Because that's what he did with Cat, I felt like. In games that, like, he was trying to, like, get these guys' confidence up. The Jaden, like, maybe because it's opening day, he goes for it. It's very possible. And Ant on any day can drop a 60 ball. Like, that's, for sure. So I'm not hating on it at all. I just wonder, like, does he try to get Julius Randle more looks? Is Julius Randle, the only thing that worries me about Julius Randle is, it's his first game coming back since, when was the last time he played basketball, man, going? Like, it's been a year, right? Like,
Yeah.
been a long time. So that's the only thing I worry about, is how much minutes they ride him like right off the bat. But
yeah, it's clearly
he
just
feels that way to me. He feels like someone who would try to get these guys more looks. The Jaden McDaniels, the Dantes, when he's out there. Like, I bet you he's telling Dante, like, tonight, take 10 fucking threes. Like, you're open, you shoot that ball. Like, don't even think about it.
Well, the reason I like Dante like way more than a Randall is, one, price, two, guys in the range, and like three, position, and he's going to run that second unit. It's going to be his to kind of like command. So, and I mean, I think Randall more so slides into like this like newer role. I mean, eventually, yeah, maybe that usage will go up. He's not just going to walk in and steal the usage. You know what I mean? Like,
he's going to steal it, but I'm saying that, and this is what he wants to do. He wants to build this. He knows he can't do it alone.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing with Cat. That was the whole thing with Cat. And he knows, you can't win just by yourself. Michael had Scotty, you know what I mean? LeBron had Kyrie, and then he had like D Wade and all these guys. Like, you can't win by yourself. So in these games, especially these games that don't matter, right? Not that they don't matter, but they're not playoff games, right, man? It just makes sense to me that Ant would do some shit like that and be kind of trying to build this guy's confidence up. But
I mean, if it happens, it happens, JSU. I think like the real reasoning for it, and like I know Sabres projected ownership is not up yet. Like, it's up, but it's not like finalized, right? But
what's Randall at? What's Randall like ownership wise right now? Just wondering, is he going to be?
I have to uncheck,
because I feel like he's priced like kind of correctly.
He is projected at 14% right now, which is
I was thinking low. Yeah, okay, yes. That's what I was thinking.
But
okay,
the point I want to get back to is, if you look at shooting guard ownership, right? And this is just the point that, again, it's just flipping the build, and I think it's a great spot to flip the build in a spot where it's probably a fragile position. The shooting guard McBride is going to be 58% right now. Okay, 58%. You got Ant Edwards is going to be 26%. So it's almost, I mean, it's between that like 2.5, 3 difference, right? So I just think flipping that build is a super intriguing way to go. Dante DiVincenzo is currently, and I'm surprised by this, he's 22%, which at 22%, I think he's like a great play. So I'm clearly going to like the shooting guards on the Timberwolves a lot in this spot. And I just think flipping that build is a really great way to kind of go about it. So, and if we do flip that build, JSU, maybe we'll play Dalton Connect at small forward for a lot cheaper, just to kind of help flip that build.
I think he just has to be one of the bench guys that plays. Like, the more I look at this team, unless it's Max Christie, which it could be, I wouldn't be shocked, but unless it's him, I think Gabe Vincent plays a little bit, but is he the leading guy off the bench? I don't think he's going to be like the leading guy off the bench. So I just think it's got to be Connect.
Another small thing to mention with Dalton Connect, JSU, I think these things are really important when talking about DFS. Not all rookies are the same. Like, people like to act like a 19-year-old rookie is the same as 23-year-old Dalton Connect. They are two different.
This kid's ready to play. Kid's ready to play. Yeah.
Yes. That's the big difference. So, and actually it's funny. I actually played basketball with someone who played on Dalton Connect's like team when they were growing up and stuff. He said he's like the best. He's the best dude. Like, absolute, like still talks with him and stuff. He just seems like a good teammate and everything. So he was like, he's loving the fit with the Lakers. So that was awesome.
Can you imagine JJ Redick with like literally you go to a team and JJ Redick is your coach? Like, come on, man. Like, that is perfect for someone like Dalton Connect, because you want all the little intricacies that JJ Redick learned throughout his years to get open looks. And Dalton Connect's like a taller version, right? In a way of JJ. So he's got more, I think, upside. Like, JJ's upside was kind of capped. He wasn't that good on defense. He wasn't as athletic, in my opinion. He wasn't as tall, right? Which made a big difference. People tried to attack him defensively. Like, Dalton Connect's ceiling is way higher, but you have like the perfect coach to help you like refront, like everything, like just pro, like, okay, you go from college, and I agree, he's ready to be in the pros, and like JJ Redick is going to make that ready even faster than what it would have been with someone else, I think, just because of who he is. But
yeah, that matters a ton. Here's a good question,
yeah.
JSU, by the way. I'll answer this, and then JSU could give his
Go
take
for it.
on it. When you say taking a stand on a player, talking about bumping the projections, yeah. So I'm gonna bump up those projections. Like, let's say I'm currently getting like 20% Anthony Edwards, and he's 26% owned, and I'm gonna bump it up and then run stuff until I can get him to the projected like ownership that I feel is like I'm comfortable with. Now, maybe that projected ownership is like between 40 and 50%. Maybe that's the range. Well, I want to see what the other ownerships are as well to try and get the right mix that I think is best. The only time I really mess with the min max is if I just need quick fixes. And like the quick fixes would be like, listen, I'm not getting like Justice Hill is a great example last night. I wasn't getting enough Justice Hill and I was running out of time. And I just said, give me a min, like, 8% of Justice Hill and toss that in there. And that's kind of how I handle it. JSU, do you handle it in different ways?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of similar when you talk about, taking a stand on a guy. You're going to want to make sure you get them. So how do you do that? You bump the projection, lock them in certain like I think in NBA DFS more than any other sport, you're going to get more slates than not where some guys are just locks. You know what I mean? There's just, a 3K point guard who's a starter, and they're like, or Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown get ruled out, and Peyton Pritchard jumps into the starting lineup. Like at 4K, you're just like, I'm just going to take a stand and lock a guy. Or
Yes.
You have a stand McBride over Campaign. Okay. Or Campaign over McBride. McBride's going to be 58% owned. Campaign's going to be 10 or 8 or whatever it is. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to project Campaign over McBride, because every site and every projection place is going to have McBride projected over Campaign. So I'm going to project him a little bit over McBride. I'm going to see how much I get. If I don't like how much I get, I might bump him a little bit more. And then maybe it gives me what I want. Now, if I bump a little bit more and it's still not giving me enough of Campaign, then I got to go relook at it and say like, okay, how good of a play really is he in this scenario? Because if I bump him to like where I think is like a big stand and I still don't get a lot of them, there's got to be a reason why. So then you got to go look back at that. So that's how I would do it. And if you're someone who likes to take stands, first you bump them over said players that you think he's better than, just by a little. If you're getting like a ton of him just by bumping him a little bit over those guys, that's perfect. You don't need to you don't need to mess with it anymore, right? But if you're not getting any and you're like, why am I not getting any? That's when you take the big stand, right? Give him a bigger bump, by a decent margin, and then you should get him a lot. And if you don't get him a lot, like I said, you got to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, why didn't I get a lot of him? You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. And
on the flip side, when I do bump it and it like gets me a lot, finally, I like to see what's happening now, so I understand what has changed. Because maybe I look and I'm like, oh, I made this adjustment and like I had 30, like I had like 50% Anthony Davis, and now I have 10%, and I didn't want that. That sounds stupid. So those are things to kind of, check when you're doing it. But that's just a quick, how to handle projections and how we, try to talk through the slate a little bit.
Yep. All right. Where are we at? Small forward here, man. Yep. Going. I mean, I think there might be some clear locks at this position here on a 2-game slate. Jason Tatum and LeBron seem mispriced. I'm not playing LeBron here, but I could see him trying to show out with his son on the bench. I would not be shocked if that was the case. Josh Hart and OG, though, I think are two of the more mispriced plays on the entire slate. I think you're going to want one of those guys. I struggled to see, one of these guys not hitting the optimal. I could see both of these guys hitting the optimal, but I definitely struggle to see one. So that might be a rule I make, like min one. Like I want one of these guys on all my teams, and I could have both. So those are the two guys that I'm looking at. Both I think are small forward and power forward eligible. Connect still in this range where you can play him at small forward. Mango, I'm not playing Bridges. I'm probably not playing Brown, but I think honestly, like the ownership play would be trying to get Brown over Tatum for the ownership and hoping that Brown has the big game and not Tatum. Because I bet there's a little ownership gap there. But Mango, do you see small forward kind of like a little cut and dry, kind of like I do?
Yeah, I see it kind of cut and dry like you. Like OG and Hart, like if you run your teams and you're not getting a lot of them, there's probably a mistake there. Like I agree with everything you're saying, JSU. I don't know if you need to do the min one, but if you did it, I wouldn't tell you it's a bad idea. They're both going to be great plays. They're both way too underpriced. They're both going to play so many minutes. We know how it is. Minutes equal money. Like you got to play these guys. So I want to be well overweight on them. Those are projections that I am not adjusting down. If anything, I'm adjusting up. So that's kind of my take on how to handle them. I'm with you on not loving LeBron. Like for me, if it's Tatum or LeBron, give me Tatum over him. Tatum is like, he's going for MVP this year. He is like not happy with how everything ended. He feels very slighted. You can make fun of Tatum and say, he sucks or whatever. The whole Olympics thing, he wasn't happy with that. Like you got a guy that won an NBA title and he is going to come back like gunning. So I think it's a great spot for Tatum. Also, if they do go small, that fits Tatum really well. It does fit Brown well also where, you have to space it out and they just kind of drive to the hoop or kick it out. Like, listen, that plays into the Celtics' hand. They want to play that small ball stuff and just kick it out to the corners and have the wide open lanes to be able to dribble, drive, and either get fouled or hop, step, and get a quick layup in, right? It just, they're so good at being patient. So I love this spot for Tatum and Brown over LeBron. I'm just going to be lower on LeBron in this spot. And keep in mind, I'm not saying McDaniels is going to stop LeBron James. No one can stop it. But there's a guy that can give him trouble or at least force him to pass a lot and be passive. Like that's the guy. So I do think McDaniels will be able to do at least enough to slow LeBron down as best as possible. Then again, OG, Hart, both really good plays. We talked about Dalton Connect. He's a solid option you get to. Rui's the interesting one because I want to know what minutes projection Saber has on him. I'm looking for it now. They have him at 30 minutes, which is pretty good, but I could see that getting even higher. I could see him being like, the 4 and that backup 5 a ton where he just plays like 35 minutes like nightly. I mean, we'll see if he can handle it and how he plays, but Rui's definitely another interesting one at the position. The only problem I'll have with Rui is he just seems so fragile projection-wise compared to some of these other plays that I want to have a tighter pool at this small forward position. There's just too many good plays. So maybe Rui just has to miss the list. So for me, the main core at small forward is going to be Hart, OG, Tatum, and I think the punt of Dalton Connect. And I'm with you, JSU. I don't like Bridges here at all.
Yep, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on your LeBron take. And someone said, where was this comment here? Something about how Josh Hart said, yeah, here we go. Are we worried about Hart saying he's not looking for his shot moving forward? Dude, when has he ever looked for his shot with the Knicks? Like he's not that guy. He's not a scorer. If you play Josh Hart, you're playing him for all the other statistic he puts up. He's probably going to have like a 6-10-3 game, like where he's got 6 points, but he could have 10 rebounds, could have 5 assists. You know what I mean? A couple steals and blocks. I definitely like OG over Josh Hart. Like if you make me choose one or the other, I'm team OG. I'm probably going to play OG on all my teams. But am I worried that Josh Hart's not looking to score? No, because I don't play Josh Hart for the points. You know what I mean? Like he's not that type of guy.
Minutes in the peripherals. Right. That's what you play.
Yes, exactly. And if he scores, that's just a bonus. You know what I mean? And listen, he's not looking for a shot, but when teams leave him open, he's going to shoot the ball. Like teams will leave him open at times. Like it's going to happen. But yeah, OG, Cat, Brunson, those are the offensive weapons for the Knicks. You know what I mean? Those are the guys that I think are going to look to score. I think you're going to see Bridges more like he was in Phoenix, where he's more a corner guy, Mangone, where he's kind of sitting on the wing. He's playing that corner 3 role a little bit, and he's not as aggressive because they've got guys like Brunson and Cat and then OG. I think that's how the offensive ladder works. It's Brunson 1, Cat 2, OG 3, and then Bridges and, Hart, McBride down the list. So yeah, that's my take there. And someone talked about Dadier in the chat. I saw that. Dadier's a rookie. I don't think he plays here, but that's just more because Tibbs is more going to play probably a very thin rotation. And I struggle to see him jumping over McBride, Campaign, and probably one of the bigs. I think it's an 8 or 9 man rotation. Does he land in that 8 or 9 man rotation? I don't think he does, but he did look good in preseason for sure. So maybe he does. He's a rookie from France. He looked Mangone. He looked good in preseason. So I don't know if you watched any preseason, but he was one of the Knicks guys that
not as much as normal. But I'm not dying to play guys like that. Also, we got Ant Edwards in the chat. He's telling us we need to play him. So
bet on me. I love Ant. You're my guy, baby. We ride, boy. I love Ant Edwards. So you never have to sell me too hard on just Ant overall. But all right, power forward. Again, like I said, some of these guys land in that dual eligibility. We talked about Tatum and LeBron, our thoughts. We talked about Hart and OG. So the next tier of guys, Mangone, you got Al Horford. You brought up Rui. I kind of agree with you on Rui. I'm not super into him. I think Naz Reid's really interesting. Again, I think a lot depends on how much they push Randall first game back, but I do think Naz is still going to play a decent role on this team, and he's 4,900 and he has upside. So I don't hate the Naz Reid play. If one of those bigs gets in foul trouble too, he is the guy that steps in. Sam Hauser, I think, is priced a little too high for my taste on opening night. I look to play Sam Hauser when you got 1 or 2 starters out. I just don't know if this is the spot where I play Sam Hauser. And then you go into the deep dives, for Boston. Is it Xavier Tillman? Is it Luke Cornett? Who do they roll with as that backup center spot? Mangone, I think in certain spots, it could be one or the other, depending on the matchup. I feel like in this matchup, it might be Tillman over Cornett, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then you got Sims, down there who's power forward center. So, for me, I think Randall is the contrarian play for me at power forward. If I'm spending up, everyone's going to spend up for LeBron or Tatum or just play harder OG. I like going mid-tier with OG/Hart or going up to Randall. That's kind of what I like at power forward. I think Naz would be the 4th guy if you made me put another guy in this range. But who do you like here?
Yeah, it's definitely similar to a lot of the stuff that we kind of just talked about. Again, you're going to love those Knicks. Hart, OG, really good plays. I like Tatum over LeBron. So that's kind of my take. The big guy that we need to talk about, I'll probably be very well overweight on, is Naz Reid. Now, one, he's a really good fantasy point per minute player, so that's really encouraging. Also, this matchup against the Lakers, he just makes a lot of sense in that matchup. So I think Naz Reid at 4.9 is a really good play. I'll be well overweight on him. He's the key guy in this range that I think we definitely need to have exposure to. And if I need some value because I'm spending up for some other spots, well, he's going to have to be one of those guys to get exposure to. So I like him. I don't love Al Horford in this spot. I do not think this is a great spot for him. So I will not be super excited about playing Al Horford. To the point of when you said, hey, Cornett or Xavier Tillman, I agree it's more of a Xavier Tillman spot. And my own opinion on how they're going to handle Xavier Tillman this season, I think their goal long-term, and I know it's not just for tonight, but I think their goal is to make Xavier Tillman a light version of Al Horford. I know they don't have their complete plans of what they want to do at the center position like 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But I think if they could draw it up perfectly, Xavier Tillman would be a kind of version of Al Horford. And then they have Porzingis, right? And that would be like their 1-2 punch for like the future. That's what I think they want to do. And that's why I think Xavier Tillman does take a leap this season. So I think it's going to be match based on Tillman. If I was betting on one of those two, I'd want to bet on Xavier Tillman.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a spot where you don't need to play either guy. I was bringing it up more like if you were wondering like which guy it is, that's just my thought. But I don't think either of them are really plays. So, and you're the 100%. Same way. Yeah. All right. Center position, last position. I think the center position is really good, man. I think I'm gonna want 2 centers on my teams. You got Anthony Davis, who's center only. Randall, I'll probably play him power forward if I play him, so I won't play him at the center spot. Karl Anthony Towns, Big T loved him. I love Karl Anthony Towns. He's mispriced and feels like a really good play here. Rudy Gobert at 6'7". I hate playing Gobert. He is cheaper, though. I think he's priced, correct, and I think he has upside at 6'7". My only thing with him is I don't think I would want to play him and Randall together because I think one of those guys is going to hurt the other, whether it's Gobert hurting Randall with the rebounding or Randall hurting Gobert. Because Randall's one of those guys, man, he likes to go for rebounds. He likes to push, he's one of those guys that goes for it at times. So I could see them, certain games, they're going to definitely affect each other's numbers. I don't think it's going to always be one or the other. I think it's, just going to be like certain games, one guy's going to really hit the glass, but they're going to try and hurt teams on the glass. Don't get fooled. Like Randall and Gobert, when they're in together, they're going to really try and, own the offensive and defensive glass and beat teams up that way. So I don't think they're bad plays. If you dive down, which I don't think you should do at this position, but if you do, the guy is Jackson Hayes, I think, who will play as the backup center for the Lakers. So if you have to dive down, he'd be the guy, you could look at in a blowout. He's going to get more run too. So, that's center position. It's a really good position. For me, I definitely want one of AD or Towns on most of my teams.
Yeah, I'm big on Towns like you. Think he's a good play. I love Anthony Davis in this spot. I think this is going to be a big Anthony Davis season. Man, he's going to play so many minutes. It sounds like the JJ Redick is going to push it. Now, if he dies, he dies, right? But we're doing DFS. It's one game. I don't care. I know Anthony Davis's role is going to be really good. Also, Gobert's the interesting one to discuss because he is 6'7", and that's just cheap for Gobert. We don't know what the new situation is going to be. I agree. Davis is my number 1, Towns number 2. I'm not putting Gobert over them, but Gobert is one of those plays that I think people will see and they'll be like, why am I playing this guy? But I want to have a little bit of exposure. I do not think he is a bad play just because I think he's underpriced. It's plain and simple. We don't know what that role is going to be. Like Naz Reid as well. I think he's going to be another one I want to get to. And that's going to require me to use him as a value. And then I'm basically just spending up at my center position a lot today. So because I'm doing that, we're going to have to look for, areas to save. And that's going to be, one of the spots I don't think I'm going to. And like I said, I want a lot of Anthony Davis. I do like Towns like you do, but I think a lot of people are going to prefer Towns. If we look at ownership, Towns at 46%, Naz Reid at 55%, and Anthony Davis at 34%. I might end up being even with the field on cat just so I can get overweight on Davis. That's kind of something that I might have to do. We'll see if I can get overweight on both, like you said. I will, but I do want to call that out. I love this spot for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I mean, I might just play them both. I think they're two of the best overall plays on the slate. So I might just hammer them both. But that's everything we got news for tomorrow. But I laughed out loud because Paul George is out. He had the knee injury, hyperextended knee. It looked like to me. I But so he's out. We knew that though. I thought he was going to be out for longer too. It seems like he averted some big news. But Joel Embiid, in quotations, injury management rolled out for Wednesday. So wait, so this dude, first game of the season, he's starting out. He's out for injury management, first game of the season. Not even a back-to-back, like not a couple games in. The first game is, it's Joel Embiid. The Sixers are in trouble, bro. The Sixers are in big trouble. Joel Embiid, he don't have much time left. Honestly, Mangone, do you think it would be worth it, like, for the Sixers to say, fuck the regular season, we'll get like a top 8 seed, whatever, and just Joel Embiid comes back for the playoffs?
I mean, I wouldn't rest him the whole way, but that's why they got Andre Drummond. They got him.
I like the Drummond pick.
Yeah.
I like that. He's still a quality center. He's going to give you good minutes.
Now, one reason why, and I know this makes me look bad, but I don't care. One reason why I didn't mind the Lakers getting Westbrook when they did was because my thought process was, well, if we get the Russell Westbrook that carries shit in the regular season, AD will be managed okay, LeBron, like that was like the whole theory that I thought, oh, this could work out. Now he just kind of,
the problem is he's not the same position as those guys, so he can't, like, Drummond can at least, like, hey, I can start these games that you're out, and I can give us, I could legitimately give us 10 points and 15 rebounds. Like that's pretty. I mean, he could give you more, honestly, but 10, 20, and 10. But like he's legitimate still as a very quality backup center.
If you're a Sixers fan, you want them to do your best to kind of coast the first like X amount of months and just like chill and do whatever you can to conserve Embiid, but pick the right games. I think that's another thing. Like, for instance, the Celtics said this. I know Joe Mazzulla said it. Like, yeah, we get pressure hot in like a couple games. Like, dude, play Andre Drummond against the Wizards. Like, load up. Yes. Let him play 40 minutes and absolutely dominate. That's fine. Like, but let Embiid play certain games that
What about this too? Like, why not, like, so backload Joel Embiid's minutes during the games? So, like, the first half, only play him like 12 minutes. And then the second half, play him a little bit more. You know what I mean? So he's still only playing like 30 minutes at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because he can't handle 40. They were giving him like 35, 40 minutes when he would play last, and he just can't. It's too much for him. So I think they got to honestly like look at things like that when he does play. I'll backload his minutes so he's in the game at the end. You know what I mean? And now you got Drummond who can play a little more earlier in the game, and then you can still lean on Embiid at the end of the game. Because man, he just can't play big minutes anymore. 25, 30 minutes in the regular season. He should never play more than 25 or 30 minutes in a regular season game, like ever.
Yeah, you said it best. You just manage the game throughout, right? Like the Bucks didn't manage the game last night and continued to play Chris Godwin. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's really simple. Just manage the game. If you're up by a lot, you don't need to put him in there. It's really not that hard.
That was just crazy because the game was over. You know what I mean? But how many times are these guys in the game at the end when the game's over? And whether it's the coaching, whether it's them, who knows, Mango? Maybe they're trying to get their stats up. Godwin playing for a contract. Maybe he wants to get his stats up a little bit more. Well, whatever it is, right? Like, it's just sad that like that stuff happens. But yeah, if coaches need to take more probably ownership and not let those guys play in those situations. But it's tough. Like when your stars come to you and say like, I'm going back in no matter what, you know what I mean? Like put me back in. And I'm sure Embiid wants to play too. So I'm sure it's hard for him to like sit on the bench, when he knows he could help the team. And, that does suck for him. And now they're saying he's out Friday. Yeah, I don't know what I would do with him, honestly, but the Sixers are in trouble, man. They're not. I just don't think they're a contender.
I would have traded him, but that's just me. I also would have
Yep.
traded Cat. I would have traded Cat when there was the rumors to KD. I was a big dude. Just get rid of Cat now while you can. I mean, they did it, a couple years later, but I would have been
A couple
big
years
on.
later.
Yeah, I would have done it when the value was as high as it was.
Yeah, when it was his peak value. I agree. Yeah, you should have done it, but yeah, is Drummond going to be priced? Did they put out pricing? News came out before DK had pricing. Drummond going to be priced? Well, he should be. Hopefully, he is
Don't
priced
give. Yeah, don't.
appropriately.
I won't.
You
We'll
never
see.
know. I will just say this: you never know early in the season. That's all
It's
I'll
opening
say.
night.
Early in the season with pricing, right, man? Going like the first couple weeks,
They want you to
go
build
easy.
They want you to build rosters and be like, oh, this is easy. They don't want you to make it hard because when it's hard,
I keep saying it though. They want you to be able to afford studs.
yes.
So to do that, what do you got to do? You got to bring the studs down a little bit, but you also got to make it easy for you to build so you can get multiple guys in there. And you're like, because even casual people, they want to play LeBron. They want to play Jason Tatum. They want to play their star, Anthony Edwards, whoever their star is. You know what I mean? They want those guys in there. So they're trying to make it easier for you to get those guys if you want them. So
it's better for the product. If you're playing I mean, and don't get me wrong, this guy's a great player. If you're playing like Jalen Johnson and Mikal Bridges, it's just not fun for the casual people. Casual people,
those are the guys though, Mangone, they have priced correctly.
Yeah,
those are the guys they price correctly. You know what I mean? They don't care about those guys. But all right, let's get to plays of the day and then we'll get out of here. First off, Mangone, who do you like for the games? Who are you taking? Are you taking the 5.5 with the Knicks? Minnesota, or LA? Who do you like here from a betting side?
Yeah, so the line
6
is
now on DraftKings.
It's 6, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking the Celtics. I'm okay with it. I know I'm a Celtics fan, but I'm taking the Celtics in the points. They're just such a good team, and they're going to continue to play the same basketball. Joe Mazzulla's mindset as well. He's just like, someone asked if there's like pressure, and he's like, "What do you mean pressure?" I'm like, "Am I going to die if I lose this game? Like, am I, is there is there a gun pointed at me and we lose? Because that's what pressure is. We're just playing a basketball game." He's got the same mindset always, and I absolutely love it. So I like the Celtics. What's the line on the Timberwolves and Lakers game?
It's 1. It's close to a pick 'em. The Timberwolves are minus 118, so they're slight favorites in LA.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna lean Timberwolves. I just think they're such a good team, and I think it's gonna be close. That's the game that I think is like, I think that's like the really competitive game for sure. Because I think that one's gonna be. I mean, they're both gonna be, but
I think they're both going to be competitive. I mean, give me the 6 points with the Knicks. I think it's a competitive game, so I'll take the points with the Knicks, and then
I get it.
For the Minnesota game. That's the tough game for me, Mangone, because everyone knows I love Ant. I just wonder, does it take a little bit to get used to these new pieces? With some new guys on the roster, no Cat. There's chemistry that's, only takes place through actually playing, right? Live reps with these guys. And then you got the Lakers, but you got the Lakers with the new coach. So that's the game I struggle with a little bit more. I feel good about the Knicks and the 6. If you make me pick though, I'll go with my guy Ant. But it's definitely one that I feel less confident in than the first one. So, JSU, do you like the under in the Knicks Celtics game? What's the line at right now? Oh, the totals are pretty close on both games. 225.5 on DraftKings for the Knicks Celtics, 221.5 for the Lakers. I kind of like the under in both games, Mangone. What do you think?
I like under in the first game. I would lean over in the second, mainly because Lakers games always have fouls, and I just think you'll see the star treatment tonight. Maybe Ant finally starts getting that star treatment that I've been wanting him to get all these years. Maybe he finally starts getting it this year. We'll see.
Against LeBron at home?
Yeah, probably not. But
against LeBron at home, I do
like under in the first game, and then I like over in the second one though. And then here's one question I do want to answer in the chat. Edwards or Tatum? I think it's Edwards, mainly because the fragility of the shooting guard projections versus the fragility of the small forward ones in OG and Hart, I just think it like makes so much more sense that it's Ant over Tatum there.
Yeah, shooting guard is definitely tough on this slate for sure. I think there's like 4 guys that I'm probably even considering out of all the pool, I think. So I think Dante's the best one, price included. I'll just say that though. I think him at 5,100 is just a good price tag. So
Dante feels like the best floor ceiling combination where like at 5-1, he feels like a safe cash game play, but you also have an enormous ceiling.
Here's the thing with Dante is he's either going to go 2 for 10 from 3 or he's going to go like 5 or 6 for 10 from 3. Like there's the in between. So like Mangone, if he's like not getting there, it's probably because he's just bricking his shots. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't like I don't he's not going to be a high volume rebounder with this team. He wasn't like it's not his game. He's not really an assist guy. Like I mean, he can do this stuff. It's just I don't think that's going to be his role. You know, he's going to grab a few rebounds on this team, but rebounds are going to get eaten up by the bigs. You know what I mean? They're going to get Jalen McDaniels and Julius Randle and Rudy and Nas. So his game is literally score. If he misses a bunch of his shots, he's not going to get there if he makes them. So I think he's a really good play, but he's also got like high ceiling, lower floor, I think for sure. So, all right, let's give, you got like your favorite play, Mangone, before we get out of here? Favorite play on the slate?
Yeah, for me, it's Ant Edwards. He's the guy. I'm going up to spend for him. He's going to be the guy that I load up on. What about you? Did you give yours out yet?
Well, since Tony gave Cat, I'm going to go AD because I think he's just the best overall play on the slate, and I think Cat's second. So I'm kind of in agreement with him there. All right, man, going one more. If you had to pick a cheap guy, so let's go anyone. Do you want to go under 5K?
Yeah, let's go under 5K because I don't want to include the Knicks in this conversation because we'll just both pick them, right?
Let's go under 5K. Your favorite.
Yeah. Okay, under 5K favorite. Let me just double check. I would say, I mean, he's definitely chalky, but it's probably Nas Reed. I think he's the best play under 5K that I would want to get exposure to.
Yeah, I'll go lower owned. For me, because Nas Reed, I agree with Mangone in this situation or in this question. Nas Reed definitely seems like the safest and probably best ceiling player for sure. But I'll just take him out of the equation here because I do think his role is like completely different than like most of these other guys. I think he's more secure for sure. For me, it would be between Campaign and Dalton Connect. I'll go with Dalton Connect though. I think he's more, I feel like I have an idea of Campaign's role. I don't think it's going to be a ton of minutes for Campaign. I just think he's going to have a role with this team just because he's a vet. He's been around the league, right? I think he's the one that gets he's like the 7th or 8th man on the Knicks, which for me doesn't give me a ton of minutes with the 7th or 8th man. It's probably like 10, 12 minutes, right, Mangone? I don't think Campaign's playing like 20 in this scenario, but you never know, I guess. Dalton Connect's the one that I really just don't know. Like, he could play 20. He could also play 10. And I wouldn't be shocked with either outcome. You know, he could lead the team off the bench in scoring this whole year. I think that's very possible. So I'll take Dalton Connect, but it's a good slate. We got you guys covered over at Rumpier Sports. RPS 15% off your first monthly or weekly. Use that code and get in the Discord. Also, too, like I said in the beginning, but I know we've got some new viewers. Tony just finished up this new sheet that we are adding to the site, and I think people are going to really love it. But those of you that are members, feel free to give us feedback. It's called on the website right now, the Print Factory Slate Builder sheet. So when you go to the site, you'll see it might say Big T's player pool right now, but it's going to be changed to that. So any feedback is good feedback, you know, positive or negative, as long as it's respectful. Let us know. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, because it's a new sheet, and we're going to be playing with it for the first like week or so of the season. So if you guys have any, criticisms or, takes on stuff we should add to it or stuff you don't like, hit us up in the Discord and let us know, because we're trying to make it as good as possible, especially for people that can't watch the Up to Lock shows and, still want to get our quick thoughts. That's where you'll find our core plays. And I think you'll like it. It's got a cool breakdown. I think that's going to be really easy for you, the consumer, who gets out of work at 6:45 and only has 10, 15 minutes to build a lineup, to be able to look at that sheet and to be able to build a good quality lineup without doing much else. So that's the idea behind it, trying to keep it as simple as possible for you guys. So check it out. Let us know. Yeah.
Chase, I would also say real quick, if you have good feedback on it, give us good as well, because now we know this works. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. Sometimes we do stuff and we're like, is anyone reading this? Right? If you actually are like, man, this helped me build my teams tonight, made it 10 times easier. Tell us that, because that makes us decide, do we keep this? Do we get rid of this? It's super helpful.
Yep, exactly. The goal is for you guys to look at it and be able to build teams, even if you didn't know anything about NBA. That's the other thing too. The goal for the content is to make it simple. So for anyone who doesn't really know anything about the sport, can go in there and build the team off of it without really knowing the players. If you don't even know the players, you know what I mean? Kind of like we did with the NHL playbook. I don't know shit about NHL, but I could tell you right now, I could go using the playbook and the core play. I could go and build a lineup using that content and not know one thing about a hockey player. And that's the same thing we wanted to bring to the NBA content. And I think we're there. I think the sheet's going to help. So again, let us know. Give Reggie a hug. I'll give him a hug for you, Adam. Appreciate it. He's ready. He's ready to go. Probably get a walk in, eat some lunch. He's ready to go. So he's waiting on me to get out of here. So that's going to do it, guys. 4 Mangone, myself, JSU, Big T, who left us prematurely. Good luck in the NBA streets. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, premium show. If you remember, Up to Lock premium show, 6 p.m. Eastern time for the big slate tomorrow. So if you're into that, we'll be there. Sign up, RPS 15. For today, we'll be in the Discord, obviously Up to Lock, and we'll have the content set up so you guys can check it out. So we'll be around if you have any questions, but we'll check you guys tomorrow. We're out of here. Peace.